And the team, when it started, I think I will have explained it somewhere that when it started, it had a number of cases that already registered, that they took over. That obviously those dockets will have been at the police stations that were given to the team when it started. And as the team was working, the team also will have generated new cases that will have happened if there's an incident that happens and the case is open, that case gets transferred to the task team. And in other instances, you're going to have parallel investigations that will be, while the team is investigating one case and they discover that that case has got a linkage, or the suspect they're looking for has got a linkage into another case. And then they go and request that that case be brought in and merged with this one, just so that the chances of conviction can be improved. So that's a variety of dockets that the team was handling. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, no, you have answered it adequately. And then the minister was appointed in July as the minister 2024, and the letter was issued on the 31st of December 2024. So the conclusion from that is that the period between the assumption of responsibility by the minister and the decision that was taken was 6 months. Between that period, did the minister ever summon a report of these dockets to have an understanding of what is happening and to have an understanding of progress that has been made? Have you ever had a meeting, if not you, the national, according to your knowledge, if not you, the national commissioner, with the minister, wherein the dockets were a subject matter?
Honorable Chair and members, the only engagement we've ever had with the Minister of Police is when the minister was appointed as a Minister of Police. We were all invited in Pretoria, where you gave the minister presentation. But in that presentation, there was nothing talking about task teams at all. And that was the only closest engagement we've ever had with the minister, where he briefed him about the state of policing. So when the decision was taken about the disestablishment of this PKTT, we hadn't had any opportunity to engage with the minister. At least I know myself, I was not invited to meet with him. And later I learned that from the National Commissioner himself also did not have an opportunity to talk to him about it, neither General Kumalo. But when you read what the minister is saying on his letter, is that he's been briefed. So when the minister has been briefed, it simply says someone told the minister that this team must be disestablished. So it is that someone that I believe drafted that letter. And I can speculate, I can assume as to who the person could be. Why will I assume? Is because I've got evidence that junior members of the South African Police Service are communicating with the executive on how they must manage the National Commission. You will have a General Spear sending a WhatsApp to the Deputy Minister of Police. I don't know who's the Deputy Minister. I'm still investigating that part. But he will send this WhatsApp message and tell the Deputy Minister and make suggestion, the Deputy Minister, you must hold the National Commission accountable with this and that and that. And you will further say, I've even shared these things with comrades so and so. These are General Spear writing messages to the Deputy Minister. And I told the two Deputy Ministers when we met with the acting minister recently, that one of you is part of the problem. I just don't know yet who, but one of the deputies is part of this problem. And so I said it in their face. They can't deny it. They'll confirm. I have WhatsApp messages. Therefore, we are part of the investigation. We'll establish who is this deputy minister. But that's just a typical example. I don't think I've shared with the members. I don't know if you have that WhatsApp. SC, I did communicate with yourself about this one. I don't think we presented, because I can show you as an example of how General Spear sends communications to deputy ministers and about issues that he's supposed to address to the National Commission, but he addressed it to the Deputy Minister. So the Deputy Minister must come back and make the National Commission to account on it. So if you want to, maybe you can flight it on the screen if need be, because I do have some of these WhatsApp messages. That the fortunate part, he did not just send it to the Deputy Minister, he also forwarded these messages to the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence.
So following the narrations that you have given us, it is reasonable to make a conclusion that the decision to disband the political killings task team was taken by the minister without having requested for any report from the relevant people within the SAPS with regards to the status of the work of the political task team, of the political killings task team. Is that the correct conclusion to make according to what we have said? Do you agree with that conclusion?
I strongly believe, Honorable Chair and members, that what is contained on this letter is not the minister's words. I strongly believe that. If the minister was honest, he would say that someone made me sign this. I did not write it myself. As when the other letters that were signed off by the former Inspector General of Intelligence that were drafted by Jaron Mdluli, that the Inspector General did not write, but she signed them, the letter. And I said, I invite Advocate to Jay Cavender to come here so she can confirm those things, because she used to work in that office of the Inspector General. So when the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde, says to me, the letter's been going back and forth, it made me believe that he was a facilitator of this letter coming from somewhere where it was being drafted to the minister for signature and back being corrected and eventually gets a signature. So I like to believe, as much as the minister has to take ownership of the letter, his signature is here, but I don't think he's the author of this thing. Because if he was, then the question would be, Minister, why didn't you feel that it's important to first sit down with the National Commissioner and talk about this? How could you make such a drastic decision based on the wrong information? I mean, if you look at what that paragraph says, in 2019, that's a wrong thing to start. A directive was made to the National Commission of Police following the Mkhwanazi Commission report. I presented before this committee that the President of the Republic, on the 18th of May 2018, he addressed the citizen in Pietermaritzburg about this matter. On the 21st, there was a meeting of the IMC. On the 24th of May 2018, the President was in this House of Parliament. We spoke about the IMC. But comes the Minister of Police, who arrived in July 2024 as the Minister of Police. He comes and he says, this task team was established in 2019 based on the Mkhwanazi Commission. We can see the person who's misinformed. He's a year late about the dates. So it's part of the things I wanted to address to the minister. Had he given me an opportunity, we're going to talk about. But he felt that I'm less important to be listened to, and he goes ahead and enforced this letter. So it's a typical example of why I'm saying the minister did not draft this thing. Someone wrote this and he made the minister to sign. But if he says it was on his own who wrote this letter, I hope that what he's going to say here under oath versus what the criminal investigation is going to uncover is going to collaborate. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem.
I think I'm satisfied with your response, General. On page 20, paragraph 37.
Before you go to the next question, just to check, General, because Honorable Nombalo says, at the time the minister signed or sent, or the letter was sent on the dissolution of the PKTT, had he demanded a report, a status report to say, this is the work that has been done by the PKTT. It is succeeding or it has failed. So here with this letter, be informed that we are dissolving it? Was there any request for that status report?
I will expect, Honorable Chair, that the minister understands that the accounting officer in the police is a national commissioner. Therefore, a report must be requested from the national commissioner. So, what the national commissioner is saying is that he was never requested. But national commissioner will come here tomorrow. I'm sure he will come and confirm that. But he says he was not informed. He was not requested to provide such. But on the defense of Minister Mkhwanazi, I cannot say that he did not receive any briefing from somewhere. There's a possibility that he might have been briefed by the Deputy National Commissioner, Crime Detection, JRSB. I'm not saying he did, but there's a possibility that he would be briefed by him. A person who might claim that says, I'm in charge of all the investigations in the country, so therefore I'm briefing you, here's the position. And if he believes that, well, it's up to the minister then to account why he believes something that comes from a junior person, but not the accounting officer.
Do you have any recollection of yourselves who were involved being requested to provide any report?
No, there was never a request.
Thank you so much. You can proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for that progressive intervention. General, on page 13, paragraph 20 of your statement, you are saying Mr. Nkabinde said he was put under significant pressure. Did he mention to you who was putting him under pressure?
No, he did not mention that.
So you didn't make a follow-up question of who exactly was putting him under pressure?
No, I did not.
Okay, with regards, you have also mentioned that there was an attempt to link General Khumalo to the murder of Sindiso Magaqa, the former SG of the ANC Youth League. And the impression which I drew from how you expressed it is that that attempt was just frivolous. It had no material evidence. So they wanted to use it to destroy General Khumalo. Are you in possession of any evidence, even if you don't disclose it, if it's going to compromise the investigation hereof? Are you in possession of any evidence which suggests that General Khumalo was never involved in the murder of Sindiso Magaqa, and therefore any attempt to associate him with such was nothing but just a frivolous attempt to destroy him?
Honorable Chair and members, I was the commander, provincial commissioner acting in KZN 2018-2019. I've been involved with the work of the PKTT, and each time they are in conducting investigation, they were keeping me informed about the status of the investigation. That's why I know about the arrest of the mayor, I know about the arrest of the municipal manager, I know about the arrest of police officers, I know about the arrest of the hitmen, and I know about the challenges the team faced when they're trying to seek information from crime intelligence in order to establish whether indeed is it true that the vehicle and the firearm that were used were sourced from crime intelligence. If so, what was the project that the crime intelligence was busy with that led into such? So when I was briefed about all those things, and also a meeting that was held at Pietermaritzburg prison, new prison, over the weekend, outside the visiting hours, where a group of men dressed in black suits and driving fancy cars that came to have a private meeting in prison with the mayor at the time and some people that were arrested discussing that case, a meeting that ended with information coming to us that the people are going to court on Monday, the mayor is going to be released in court. And exactly that what happened. When they went out to court, they were all released. The mayor and the city manager were released, except the hitman. That's why the hitman is now making stories, because he was part of the initial arrest. So I knew about all that information. But when I saw in the media, the Mr. Adams, member of this parliament, who I believe engaged with one of police officers that were arrested, that is currently in custody in KZN, and who then the member who used to work with the political killings task team, arrested by the same task team. He's then becoming a whistleblower by claiming that the team is the one that was behind the murder of Magaqa, forgetting that the team is the one who was behind the arrest of the people that were involved in the murder of Magaqa. That mispresentation, which landed in a public space, and the narrative was drawn that Khumalo is a bad person as a result of that. The PKTT are bad people. As we speak now, members that used to work in the team have been visited to issue statement or write statement, negative statement against the team. It's something that's happening as we speak by the people that want to justify that there was a need to establish the team. I've said members were arrested within the team. If Khumalo or any other member that was working in the team was wrong, they can be arrested as well. Don't dissolve the team because of those individuals. Over 30 police officers were arrested. The team was not dissolved because they was doing his job, arresting on one of their own as well. So if Khumalo is one of the people that should have been arrested as a result, that evidence should have been presented. We've got IPID that has a responsibility to investigate police conduct. They should have been approached and given evidence and let them investigate. But that was not objective because there was no facts on that. But it was just a smear campaign to make sure that they destroy the image of Jairo Khumalo and the members that are working in that PKTT.
If my memory serves me well, General, the decision to release the two members that we have spoken about, the former mayor and the former municipal manager, which was made in Umzimkhulu Magistrate Court, was that there was no insufficient evidence. But following from what we have explained, the assumption that we can draw is that there was a collaboration of the police and the prosecuting authority, the NPA, because a decision to withdraw charges is not made by a police officer, but by a prosecutor. So I'm telling this committee that for the release of those two individuals, the police collaborated with the NPA, and if so, is there any investigation that is underway in pursuit of finding evidence in that regard?
The collaboration, I wouldn't say between the police and the prosecution, but the prosecution that took a decision that we're collaborating with, I believe, maybe the lawyers of the arrested people. And of course, there are officials within correctional service in Pietermaritzburg that were part of this, because they allow such a meeting to take place in times where the visiting should not have been allowed. And so, and that led into the release of those arrested people at the time. The investigation continued, it never stopped. The conviction that has happened now of the person that when they were released, they made a deal with the hitman that will look after him. So, but when they're outside, they could not look after the person as they had committed. So that's what made this man to be angry in custody. That's why he ended up talking about the things that he was talking about, that he was part of this and they didn't look after him. So therefore he's confessing on what has happened. The unfortunate part is that the mayor killed himself, despite the fact that we had confiscated his firearm, but the court ruled that he must get back his firearm. So he took it and he killed himself. But the municipal manager is in court as we speak, because that investigation continues to find the people that are still behind the death of Sindiso Magaqa. And that's not going to stop.
You have also made an averment that there are some detectives who are in cahoots with criminals. who were within the political killings task team, the result of which you took a decision to rotate them. Did some of those, or did any of the detectives of the political killings task team try to influence the Sindiso Magaqa case?
No, not that I know of, because when the police when those people were released, police officers were quite upset about it. They were not very happy when such happened. There are many other cases that were in court, and the behavior from both the prosecution and the presiding officers in some of these cases were questionable, that were frustrating the work of the team. So I wouldn't say that their members they were in cahoot with that, but I can confirm again here that that murder of Sindiso Magaqa involved policemen. Policemen that were working at Durban Harbour, who comes from that area. They were part of that operation. What I picked up is that crime intelligence had a project where this firearm and this stolen vehicle were part of the project, and the project for CITs. It was to deal with CITs. And I've said when you want to infiltrate certain syndicates, you need to be part of that syndicate. So unfortunately, the people that they recruited as crime intelligence to run a certain project, they got recruited to kill Sindiso Magaqa. So while they were busy with this mission of crime intelligence, which was successful, I must say, unfortunately, one of the criminals was killed, but that operation was successful because it was for heist, and that was successful. But the very same criminal that was part of this crime intelligence operation, he then participated in the murder of Sindiso Magaqa. I think it was a quick cash. You already had the equipment to use it to carry out the task, and he did it. And that was an intended consequence of that project of intelligence.
I think I'm satisfied on that one. Somewhere in your statement, Shamas, you have said that at some stage you made a conclusion that Mkhwanazi and Matlala were aware of the decision to disband the political killings task team prior. Can you elaborate on that? How did you become aware, and are you in possession of any evidence that corroborates with your assertion?
Honorable members, when the team was studying the communication from the cell phone of the arrested Mr. Matlala, that's where they picked up the communication between him and Mr. Brown, and the communication that has got to do with the close of the team and the anticipation at the time that the dockets are going to be transferred to Jarasbia. So when we add the events that occurred thereafter, including the transfer of these dockets to Pretoria by the instruction of Jarasbia, we could only conclude that this, what is extract of the communication between Matlala and Mkhwanazi, indicates that the two of them might have had something to do with the closure. Maybe from Matlala's side, might not be directly, because he was being frustrated and complaining to Brown Mkhwanazi, and Brown Mkhwanazi communicating with the chief of staff, communicating with the minister, saying the minister and Sibia must come out with a plan. He might have put pressure to the two to make sure that his friend Matlala is satisfied. That's why he was even saying on the communication, on WhatsApp communication, that he should just stand back and allow the process to unfold. And when this directive came, he was the one first to send that communication to Matlala to say, the team that came to harass you has been closed and the dockets are on the way to Sibia. So it's based on the analysis of that communication that was done by the team, of which records are available, that proves that the plan to shut down the team was not just done on the 31st. It's something that was crafted prior to that. Hence the communication that happened that quick.
Now, do you believe that Minister Senzo Mkhunu has a deep unethical relationship with Brown Mkhwanazi and Matlala? And if so, does your belief only rely on his interactions or on the knowledge that they had for the disbandment of the political killings task team, or it also relies on other factors which are in your possession as a police officer that maybe some you cannot disclose before this committee at this stage?
Beg your pardon, honorable members, honorable chair. I can confirm that the relationship between Mkhwanazi and the minister is unethical. Unethical in the sense that, for starters, the minister claimed when I appeared before the Portfolio Committee on the 5th of March 2025, he claimed that he did not know the fellow I was talking about. It's been proven by the very same minister who says, no, that person is a comrade. I said, when you say comrade, I assume is a colleague in a political party. And this is a person who communicates with December, January, there's a January 8th gathering of that party in Cape Town. Mkhwanazi is facilitating the guest of the minister for Matlala to pay for them to come and attend this thing. And they are here, SBIA is here, everyone is here. They're having meetings in some hotels that we already know of, where they are sitting and having meetings and the likes during that period in January, beginning of this year. When you see then that these criminal activities that are happening, you see Mkhwanazi in position of sensitive police material, and he speaks about the minister. He knows the diary, the calendar of the minister, that on this day he's on his way to Sikisiki. So it's a person that is quite knowledgeable. And if this person is not in government as a colleague to the minister, and this person is not in a political party, of which his own political party disowned him recently, that he's never a member there. The records we have in our position is the role that this Mkhwanazi was playing in the political campaign of the very same minister in the past. The communications that time when they were busy fighting for position back then, up to the conference of that political party, we have these records with us because it's an intelligence work that must do. The exchange of monies and the likes is available within intelligence. It's one of the things I was cautioning about that push these members to talk. They're going to release that information because it's there, it's available. And we don't want it to go out because it's a secret of the state that will cause fire. So Minister Mkhwanazi claiming that this man is a comrade, the political party concerned says he's not a comrade. That means the conclusion we must draw is that this is not a comrade, it's a criminal. That the minister is invited to be part of the police. Minister lied when he said he's a comrade.
No, if you are saying general, we're in possession of evidence, then I'm satisfied. On the 5th of April 2025, you asked for a meeting with a minister, and you suggested that General Sbia, General Khumalo, General Ken, Mr. Nkabinde, and Mr. Brown Mkhwanazi be part of that meeting. Now, when you were making this request, or before you make this request, did you make an investigation, maybe at a personal level or maybe in your official capacity, of who Brown Mkhwanazi is and of what exactly, how is he exactly involved in the running of the SAPS?
The investigation, of course, when I became aware of this gentleman in as early as end of September in 2024, and confirmed by the chief of staff that he's a friend of the minister. And subsequent to that, and the team started uncovering the communication on the cell phone, which happened later in May, somewhere about this year. And when they started realizing that means this Brown Mkhwanazi has got more role to play in policing matters than what we think of. If he did not expose himself to me in September last year, I would not have known about it. But he went quiet after that. When the team started picking up from the cell phone of Matlala about the communication that Brown Mkhwanazi has on his phone, or what he's communicating with Matlala on, and we started realizing that this man is heavily involved in police matters. Therefore, we needed to start investigating as to who is he and where does he come from? How do they know each other with the minister and what role is plays? That's why we're able to go back into more than 5 years ago and get to know the relationship him and the minister has and what is it they were busy with back then and how they were participating in the political campaign and all the way up until this day. So we had to dig deeper on Mkhwanazi to know everything about it.
So if the minister can come and say he didn't respond adequately or appropriately to your messages because it was sent on WhatsApp, you did not use an email, how would you react to that? Would you think that would be a fair statement to make?
It would be an unfair statement to make. I believe we live in days where communication platforms differ. Perhaps the days when you were still young, you used to write letters through the post. And then the life of SMSs came, and the life of emails came, and the life of WhatsApp came. So he's the one who communicates on WhatsApp as well. He sends messages on WhatsApp telling me he's coming to the province, this and that. So it cannot be that when I ask him for a meeting, he's going to say send an email. So that would be wrong for the minister to say. I like to believe that maybe he's an educated man because he was a teacher. If he say he does not know about the official communication, I would begin to question about his knowledge about the communication platforms that exist nowadays.
And why did you suggest that Mr. Nkabinde? Because I believe that at the time he was just a chief of staff. Why did you suggest that he be part of the meeting?
It had come to my attention about his bad role that he's playing at the office of the minister. I said this was a policeman, that this was a member of IPID as an investigator. This was never a politician. But when I started hearing about how he becomes so vocal in meetings of the minister, and in all these meetings, and I said to the ad hoc committee members that the Police Act provides for the establishment of the Civilian Secretariat of Police, a DG, and the functions of what the DG must do. But I don't even think the DG has been part of these meetings that the minister is having. His spokesperson or the people that are vocal in these meetings about the disbandment of the team is a chief of staff and the Deputy National Commissioner of Police. So when you hear that from the people that are part of the meetings, it becomes problematic. And what is worse, you get this information not even from the senior people, you get it from the junior people that are part of the meeting. And they are shocked because what they don't know is that when people are in meetings, they're recording meetings. And they have records of such. So when you hear of this behavior and you start realizing, so all the time, this chief of staff has been acting as if he's a good man and yet he's not. So let me get him into this meeting as well so I can tell him what he's doing wrong. I wanted to present to the minister how bad the same person he has in his office, how bad the person that he calls comrade about the advice that he gives them, how bad is the Deputy National Commissioner Spear that works with him all the time, so that he can decide whether he wants to keep these people close to him or he wants to distance himself from them. I warned the current acting meeting minister about the chief of staff the first day we met. I told him that this man is a bad man. He asked me why. I explained to him. But he kept him in the office until he went to Magaqa commission and suddenly he was removed from the office. So I'm not a person who hides things. I tell it straight and you make a decision as an executive authority. If you want to take the advice, you take. If you don't want to take it, you'll have to suffer the consequences.
Unfortunately, Chamas, the chairperson has made an indication that I've run out of time. Chair, I will reserve my outstanding questions for the next session. Thank you very much.
Mkhwanazi,
Hlonishwa.
siyabingelela.